Hey everyone, I'm here with a commentary on my first review all the way back from 2010. Boy, does that make me feel a little old. And given my field and choice of profession, this will be a good dry run for what I may end up doing in the future on Blu-rays. But, so the genesis of the movie nut idea very much came from, well, it's easy to point fingers and just say the same thing that everyone else does. Well, I had a passion for movies, or what most people these days say, which is, well, I saw Doug and James do it, so I wanted to cash in as well. For me, actually, my influences came from two people. Geekvolution, who you would know as some of the big comic book reviewers on this website, specifically Captain Logan's Superhero Rewind series, and another user who does like these little mini Let's Plays called NecroVMX. And as you can see on the screen, my style borrowed very much from their earlier days, where it was sort of running commentary discussion of the movie on top of stills from the film. And of course later Superhero Rewind would adapt and use actual footage from the films, while Necro would strangely go for a lazier route and just use the film's poster artwork, which I never understood why. But this was my first time around, and as you could probably hear, my mic was far from ideal for the circumstances. It was a cheap $8 kind of job that I got at PC World. It was just a really cheap stand-up mic. But, you know, I was young back then. I wasn't as experienced as I am now. And though I had done, you know, film projects beforehand, I hadn't really dabbled all that much with audio and editing as much as I have now. And so there were still things that I needed to polish up on and do a lot better. And, of course, a year later, I ended up buying the headset, which is what I used for the commentaries, which is what really launched me. And then after that, about a year later, funnily enough, it broke, and I ended up buying what I have now, which is an Olympus portable microphone, the kind that you often see people use at university lectures. And the sound quality is really good, and because I'm not as close as I am to the other ones, there's a lot less pop and whatnot, and I didn't have to spend money on a filter or anything. It's very easy to just go back and think about, you know, all the early films that I've reviewed. I mean, I still stand by a lot of what I said, and I did say what I need to get across, but of course now I would be a lot more careful and articulate about it. And of course my style is much more I'm much more categorized. Here I'm sort of all over the place, and I sort of bleed into subjects a bit. You know, I'll suddenly talk about, say, action, and then I'll suddenly go to the music, and then I'll go back to action, and then I'll suddenly drift into plot without much of a good segue. And of course, visually it's not a bit monotonous, because, you know, I hold on pictures for a very long time in the early ones, and I don't have as many to break it up. But you know, it was a learning curve. You know, the first couple of reviews I was ironing out my ideas and what I wanted to do with it. You know, the intro theme, by the way, I don't know what it's called, but it's the music from the Judge Dredd trailer, the Stallone one from the 90s. I never remember what the name itself is of the track. I don't think it was actually composed for the film. It wasn't Alan Silvestri's music that he did for Judge Dredd, but it's probably from another action film. I'm not sure which one, so if you happen to know which film it's from, feel free to let me know down below. But really, I just ended up using that theme because I found a video literally titled Judge Dredd trailer music. But you know, it fit. You know, it was epic, it was intense, you know, it got people pumped up before they saw a review, which in retrospect wasn't that great of an idea given the quality of my mic. But you know, it was just one of those things again. And of course the image I use over it, I mean, it's obvious I'm using Movie Maker, and I still am. I haven't upgraded to a Sony Vegas or anything like that, but that image is actually from when I used to do DVD covers. I used to do Doctor Who DVD covers for a while, and that was sort of like the template, the various logos and age ratings that I would put onto covers and whatnot. And, being me, I was just a beginner, so I just threw it together. I had it lying around in my picture files, so I decided to just throw it on top. And that's how the whole thing was born. And of course, right now, John Debney's amazing music for the movie is playing. A little too long, I might add. I let this run for a good 2-3 minutes, which another thing I learned to cut back on, especially since the rights people are very particular nowadays. And back then, because I was small, I didn't really get any hassle, but then later I started getting various warnings and whatnot, and my Phantom of the Opera review got a whole lot of crap from the really useful group, which works with Lloyd Webber, because I have music from the film in there. So, you need to be very careful about how you use that. But really, it was just a case of trial and error. My audio quality improved, I began to be more specific, I was more categorized, more organized. One funny thing, though, is that all these reviews from then till now are actually unscripted. I don't use a script, which you would think is strange given that, being a filmmaker and a writer, I would obviously be the first guy to use it, but I don't know. I've always found like this just more practical for me because I can just let my thoughts roll off. I mean, in a retrospective like the Shadows or the Dr. Savage stuff, of course I use scripts, but here I just let stuff roll off my tongue, say whatever comes to mind. I generally, mixing up my words here, but I generally rehearse for a good while before I get into a review. I think out my points, I put them in order, and then I record each one step by step. So that's how I do my thing with these reviews, and it hasn't really changed all that much except me being better and better at improvisation and just, having seen a lot more films and just having a better grasp on what to say, what to do, and what demands the most attention, which ultimately was script. And the Stars idea was just I just came up with it. It didn't really have any origin, I just threw it together. Maybe you can see it as sort of a riff on the traditional Stars rating, It was a little bit inspired by Fury of the Film fans' original rating system, where he would give awards, gold, silver, bronze, and then nothing. Of course, in my case, nothing was replaced by a cheap 50 pence, plastic star that you can find at a corner shop. And of course, ironically, the review after this would be the first one to use that rating, Island of Dr. Moreau, which, is one of those films that, nobody cared when they were making it. There's stories about how Frankenheimer just did not care. He just would not, control his actors or anything. So, it just makes you think about how sometimes in this business people can be paid a lot to just do so little. But anyway, that was sort of a quick rundown of the history of the movie nut and sort of the genesis of certain ideas. I hope you enjoyed this commentary, and well, see you around, folks.